Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NinjaTrader Ecosystem event. My name is Juanita, and I am the NinjaTrader representative on the ecosystem team. Today, we do have a very special NinjaTrader Ecosystem event, Breakthrough Techniques to Improve Your Technical and Mental Edges. This webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Any brokerage-related questions should be sent directly to our brokerage team. Lastly, if you are new to NinjaTrader, we do kindly suggest that you check out our free demo. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. You can get your free demo by using the following link. Before I turn the mic over to Tom and Créde, it is important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading consists of substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all funds or more deposited with your initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Also, please remember that these training sessions are not a solicitation nor a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Thank you again for joining us today, and without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the NinjaTrader Ecosystem webinar room, Tom and Créde. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that introduction and get the disclosures out of the way. And we want to welcome everybody that's joined us today, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the recording. We're happy to have you here. And one of the special things about this presentation of techniques to improve your technical and mental edges is it's appropriate regardless of your trading level. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, we've put together some educational materials for you today that we believe can certainly help you from your training perspective. My name is Tom Winterstein, and we'll talk a little bit about myself in just a moment. But first, about ChartPros. We are a leading provider of market education and related services using what I like to call precision-focused technical analysis. And we recently announced a strategic alliance with Créde Performance and Créde Sheehy-Kelly, who you'll get to meet in just a moment. We've got our website there and our social media links as well. But one of the inspirations for me to start ChartPros was really to help pay it forward. I had two very, very critical, important mentors for me along the way, and one of them is on this call with us today. And so I don't do ChartPros for the money. However, I think that you can certainly understand and respect that I won't share my time, talent, and treasures for free either. And so with that, we've put together some courses again that are appropriate for beginners to intermediate to advanced. And so you just kind of have to find where you fit into there. And really the mental components of it are appropriate for everyone as well. And so we have Créde with us, and I'm going to ask Créde to kind of introduce herself before I continue. Créde?
Thanks, Tom, and delighted to be here chatting to all you guys with NinjaTrader and Tom, and I'm excited for the talk. So welcome, everyone. And just to give you my background, I'm a chartered high performance psychologist. So I specialize in helping people in high performance domains like professional sport, trading, hedge funds, business leaders to reach the peak of their potential by actually capitalizing on their mental edge and their mental capital. So I help people to manage their mental and emotional aspects of their performance so that they can reach their full potential. And I'm now currently doing that to a large extent in the area of trading. So that's why I'm here today. And I'll be speaking a little bit later on about how you can actually start sharpening your own trading mental edge. So I'll hand it back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Créde. I appreciate that. My name is Tom Winterstein. I am a certified mental performance coach, but more importantly, what I am is I am a trader, and I teach trading, and I use technical analysis, and I'll talk about the tools that I use personally and that I teach as well, so that we can all kind of relate to where we are. And there's so many different ways that people trade. There's different styles. There's different risk appetites. There's people that use indicators, people that don't use indicators. And so really what you have to do is find, a trading style that works for you. And hopefully with some of the materials that we are presenting today, we can get you a little bit closer to where you'd like to be from your goals and objectives. So one of the premises that I like to share, and again, it kind of goes back to the foundation as to why I started, ChartPros probably almost 5 years ago now. I've been trading since the mid 90s, with my own capital, but have really been experienced in the market since the mid to late 80s when I was in graduate school. And I saw that, in 1987, when the market dropped 22.5% in a single day, just think if that happened today, just the hysteria that would happen. And so my premise is, if you give a man a fish, you can feed him for a day, and this is an old saying that you may have heard, but if you teach a man to fish, you can feed him for a lifetime. And so really what, I want to do is I want to help traders by teaching them so that they can be self-sufficient, not have to rely, on an indicator or a signal or something to that effect. And so really I'll pose a question before I could get into some markups. And two things that we see the most is traders that have issues with consistency and with their confidence. And that really comes from the foundation of their education and training, and really as it relates to the education that they've had, what their style is and things like that. So I want to jump into really the 5 chart tools that I use and that I teach and we teach at ChartPros. And some of these charts here have some dated information, and I'll finish up with something a little bit more current. Now, you may be familiar with some or even all of these, as far as support and resistance and trend. Most people know what those are. Supply and demand may be, a new concept for you. Change control is a little less known. And Fibonacci, I think, most traders know what Fibonacci is, but it's probably the most, it's probably the tool that gets misused the most, because it's really about the levels and and where you place your anchors. And I'm going to give you a few examples about anchor placement as it comes down to precision levels that we're looking for. Most of my trading is intraday. I do swing trade, in my trading accounts, which is different than investing, from retirement accounts and stuff like that. So again, that's part of my style, which may be different than yours, but these tools apply, nonetheless. And so these are the tools that we use. Each one is noted on this screen here. And as we move through and take a look, what you'll notice is that, and it's uncanny to me how price can change at particular levels based on the math. So most of this is around statistics and probabilities to help define edges. And that's all it is. And nobody knows for certain what the market's going to do. So these people that make predictions that the market's going to go up, market's going to go down, that's not a world that I participate in. Rather, I'm a reactive trader. I kind of let the market do what it's going to do, and I'll react, to what price levels have done. And historical price levels can be very important, when it comes to that. And so, one of the first things that I want to show is a swing Fibonacci. Okay, and what I'm going to use, this is a higher time frame chart that goes back to the before the pandemic. And you see, this is a monthly chart, and you see those 2 big red candles, and that goes back to the March lows of 2020, 2 years ago. And most of the traders that use Fibonacci had this on their charts, and so it kind of looked like it just turned in the middle of nowhere. How were people able to catch that bottom? Well, there actually are techniques that you can do to get us a little bit closer to where that level actually did turn. So what we're looking at now is called a swing Fibonacci. And if you had this, you weren't able to react to the bottom where that turned. So what I'll do is I'll layer in a concept that's called a validated Fibonacci. And what I have is I have multiple anchor points here. The one that's on the lower left, and these are the anchors are highlighted with the white circles. And so I utilized a validated Fibonacci sequence here. And it has to be precise. I had a direct pullback on my first fib, where the blue line is, and I was able to mathematically and correctly start another anchor, where you see those two circles together that take it up to the far right, circle. And now what we were able to do is we got a direct hit on that 50% retracement, on that March 2020 low. And when I first was exposed to this type of math, as you will, that's what I like to call it, is math. I was just kind of blown away. And it's just, I was not a big believer in technical analysis, younger in my career. I was more of a fundamental type trader and investor, but I have seen the light and I've learned to never say never. And, it seems to work more times than it doesn't. Nothing is foolproof, and it's certainly not guaranteed, that's for sure. Another advanced or another Fibonacci technique that we like to teach is called advanced high to high. And again, this is placement of the anchors. And you will oftentimes see this in a fast trending market, whether it's fast trending up or fast trending down. And what we're able to get is a zone of interest between the 50% retracement and a 61.8% retracement. And what it does is it gives us a potential area for reversal zones. And so as the market was trending up, we saw that we had a very nice pullback, and there are certain conditions that have to occur in order to use, one of these advanced high to high Fibonacci techniques. Again, they work more times than they don't. Nothing is foolproof, but it gives us a zone or a level of interest that we can utilize from a trading perspective. On the flip side of that is a low to low. This is a little bit more recent, as the market has more recently in the last couple of months been more in a downtrend. We can implement the same criteria to implement this advanced technique for low to low, and it gives us a reversal zone area of interest. And so if this is something that you'd like to learn more about, these are the types of advanced techniques that we include in some of our technical analysis training. So something a little bit more recent, this actually happened to be from today, and I'll call this putting it all together for precision level trading. And if you take off the Fibonacci and the trend, it looks like just kind of a lot of scattered lines. And with the red and green, it almost kind of looks like a Skittles package, if you will. And so what I like to do is find particular levels of interest in either direction. I am not a bull nor a bear type mentality. I do have directional assessments and a bias. And what I'll use is the tools to calculate levels of interest where I'd like to either enter short or long. And then on the flip side of that, I like to create levels of interest where I'm going to exit. So this trade was actually from this morning. If you follow any of our social media or go look, you'll see the trade post that has, the trade stamps on there with the exact levels. And, later in the day, the price happened to go up, but that's okay. What I'm looking for is precise calculated benefits from the technical analysis. And sometimes you can scale in, you can scale out, you can leave runners. And again, it all comes down to your particular style and what you'd like to be able to do. But in this case, you can see in the green circle on that 61.8%, that is a bull retracement fib where I entered this morning. It was soon after the market opened. And then as far as a price and exit target, I used a bear fib, and you can see the red line at the 78.6% retracement where I actually get out. Now, it doesn't look like a lot of movement, but that's over 100 points. And so if you can do that, with confidence and with some degree of consistency, that's going to help you in the long run. And it does come down to, risk management, what is your style for managing a trade and those types of things. And so, and using basic and advanced Fibonacci, some of the things that we just went through were swing versus impulse fibs, validated fibs, and these are all concepts that we teach at ChartPros. Some of the best scenarios to create an edge might be when you have overlapping fibs, or you have, confluence where you may have fib levels that overlap, you may have trend, you may have support and resistance. Those are the types of levels that give me a high degree of confidence, when I'm trading. Again, I do create bidirectional levels of interest. I'll trade in both directions. There are fib sequence validations that you can do to identify confluence areas. I personally don't use any indicators. And so for me, this is kind of putting it all together, if you will. And so what I like to say is, when using less on your chart is more, I've listed the courses that we have, and we do have a series of free courses and introductory type courses for each one of those lessons, as well as some advanced techniques. So again, we've got courses for any level from beginner, intermediate to advanced. But what one of my mentors had told me, once I started to understand, the technical analysis and some of the charting is really and truly charting is the easy part. Okay. And I was struggling at that point, and I really had a difficult time understanding how could charting, be the easy part. Well, actually executing against your charts and against a trade plan really becomes, the challenge more from, a mental capacity than anything else, because, the charts are the charts, and lots of times people like to overthink, a particular level, whether it's going to work or not. And quite simply, the answer is either yes or no. And people will tend to overthink that. So really, once you get into it, my mentor also shared with me that trading should be boring. And again, I had a hard time understanding that particular concept. But if you're doing it right, you'll find that you just kind of let the market do what it's going to do within your levels. And by applying proper risk management, through stop losses and trade management and controls like that, you can really increase your consistency and increase your confidence, to that point. But so this is really at the part where, if charting is the easy part, well, I've saved the hard part, for Créde. That's where, the real mental challenge comes in. And, I mentioned I'm a certified mental performance coach, but I am not a psychologist, and there's a huge difference. And so just the capability and really the privilege of partnering with Créde Performance, and to bring this offering, to the market, is something that's quite unique, from a technical and mental perspective. So at this point, what I'd like to do is have Créde cover the mental part of it.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for an excellent insight into some breakthrough techniques for the technical aspects of trading. I'm just going to take 1 second to share my screen, and I'm going to pick up where you left off. So, okay. So I'm going to expand on what Tom said, and we're going to dig into it in a much deeper way. So we're talking about trading, and Tom spoke about how, yes, it takes work to understand the technical aspects of it, but once you have that nailed, it really comes down to mastering yourself. And that's how you're going to make the most out of your trading and hit your goals. So when we start out in trading, our expectations of it can be a little like this. So we often start out, maybe expect that within a year we'll be consistently profitable, that the progress trajectory just goes up and up, and it might be incremental progress, but it's a consistent upwards trajectory. And unfortunately, that's really not the reality. So the reality of trading, it looks a little bit more like this roller coaster. And this is a roller coaster of inconsistency. So yes, of course, people can make progress and can see good days, can get runs of green days in their trading, but then often they find that they completely undo the good work that they did. And they might have one red day that cancels out all of their progress, or they repeatedly find themselves breaking their trading rules and using habits that are just not supportive of their trading goals. So that's the reality of it. But why is that? So really, the mental edge in trading, it's the difference that is between the traders that are successful and the traders that don't make it or quit, to me, comes down to the mental edge. And I'm going to explain why. So hopefully by the end of this talk, I'll have also convinced you that this is the case. But just to put this in context, there are actual research stats out there that say that 80% of day traders, at least, will quit within the first 2 years of setting out on their trading journey. And only 1% of day traders are actually able to predictably profit net of fees. So for the amount of people who are trading in the world, they are pretty sobering stats. But you can be one of the people that makes it to that 1%. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to actually master yourself. So if we put this in the context of sport for a second, and we think about Olympic athletes, at the highest levels of performance, it's the technical pieces that everybody has down. So when you get to the Olympics, whatever sport you're operating in, likely you have a very similar level of technical expertise to the athlete beside you. So what makes the difference in terms of those split seconds that can win you a gold medal or leave you with silver, or leave you with no metal at all. It's the mental edge and the ability to actually be resilient under pressure, to control yourself, to have emotional composure and discipline in any high performance profession that will get you over the edge. That's what's going to help you to fully succeed. And so when we're talking about the mental edge in trading, I've just given a definition here, but I'm going to expand on it. So the mental edge in trading is the competitive advantage that you experience when your mindset, emotions, and your conscious actions all support the consistent and successful execution of your trading plan. That sounds a little wordy. So basically what we're talking about is when your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are all aligned and they all support you in executing your trading plan exactly as you plan to do. That's the mental edge. That's when you're in control of yourself. But what does it look like when the mental edge is missing or needs some work? And this is something that continuously needs work throughout your entire trading career or the time that you're trading. So if it's not your full-time profession, this is still something that you'll really need to master in order to reach the peak of your trading potential. So what does it look like when it's not there? You're breaking your trading rules, or you're, sorry, I'm just seeing a note saying participants can now see your application, so I hope everything's all right. But you're breaking your trading rules, you're not executing your trading plan. So you know exactly what you should be doing, and then you just don't do it. And it feels almost impulsive. It feels like something that's beyond your control. So let's actually discuss that in terms of concrete actions that you might be taking in your trading that are sabotaging your trading, or that mean that you're not executing your trading plan the way that you wanted. These are actions like revenge trading, ignoring your stops, maybe ignoring your daily loss limit, or on the other side of the scale, possibly you're not being decisive, so you're not getting into trades quick enough, even when you see the entry. It could even be things like either, jumping out of a trade that's successful too soon because you just can't withstand that fear of losing the profits that you'd already banked up. Or maybe on the other side of it, you're jumping out of trades too late. So you're staying in too long because you're being driven by greed. So basically, when your emotions are hijacking your trading actions, that's when you really know that you need to work on your mental edge. And even if you're bought into that concept, you might be wondering why there's a dog and a robot on the screen. So I am going to make that relevant here. But you might be wondering, yes, okay, I understand that the mental edge is important. So what do I need to do then in order to master my psychology? And there's usually two misconceptions that, sorry, I've just lost, but there we go. There's usually two misconceptions that traders have, even after they've bought into the idea that psychology is important. And the first one is that they think, okay, right, I get it. I have the technical side of things down, but now I need to work on my psychology. So what you're telling me is I need more willpower. I just need to have, 50% more willpower so that I can double down on executing my trading plan exactly as I want to. And that is actually not the answer. So in mainstream psychology, there were theories around willpower. So not even just related to trading, but related to every other area of our lives where we might need to exert willpower. And the thinking was originally that willpower was linked with a tank of mental energy. And as our mental energy depleted, so as we became more mentally fatigued, our willpower also dropped down. And eventually, when there was no mental energy left, we had no willpower. And that's when we engaged in self-sabotage. And when I say self-sabotage in trading, I'm talking about those actions that we just discussed. So all of those things like taking too many trades, breaking your daily loss limit, and the rest. But the case is now actually the thinking has shifted around willpower. And now people understand that when you have a lack of willpower, it's actually telling you something really important. It's like a warning signal that shows you that there is some work that needs to be done. And in the context of trading, what your lack of willpower or your lack of discipline in sticking to your trading rules is telling you is that there's some work to be done on the mental and emotional side of things. And likely, as we're going to talk about in a minute, when you're experiencing very low levels of discipline and willpower in your trading, it's often your subconscious mind that is actually the culprit. So I will talk about that in a little bit more depth. But if you think about this, like as if you were driving a car and the red warning light starts flashing, telling you that your gas tank is very low. The problem is not the red warning light. You're not going to stop the car, get out, find some way of, pulling the wires out of the car so that the red light turns off. you know that that's telling you that you need to fill up the tank with gas. And it's the same. If your willpower and your discipline are low in trading, it means that there's work to be done on the mental and emotional side of your trading. And luckily, we'll talk about some techniques that you can use straight away to actually shift things in that area. And the other misconception is that traders who think, okay, yeah, I need to work on the mental side of things. And what you're telling me is I need to just be emotionless. If I could just cut off from emotions, that would be the answer. So if my emotions are hijacking my trading, well, then if I could just ice them and trade like a robot, you know, that would be the ideal. And that's actually also not the answer. As humans, emotions are built into our psychology. We can't get away from them. And the irony is that the more that we try and actually suppress those emotions, the more they're likely to show up in impulsive actions in our trading. So cutting off from emotions is not the answer. And when you work on your mental edge, you're actually able to master your emotions so that you're able to feel them. Challenging emotions like fear, impatience, all of those emotions, you can feel them, acknowledge them, but they don't have to dictate the actions that you're taking in your trading. So you might feel impatient, but you may still have the discipline to wait until your A+ setup appears. And that's the difference. It's this emotional control and composure. But in order to reach that state, you actually have to get into the arena with yourself, your subconscious mind, and your emotions, and then use practical techniques in order to be able to master this aspect of yourself. So there's two specific parts of your mental edge that we're going to talk about now. And we're actually going to speak about practical techniques that you literally could implement tomorrow in your trading to see results. So the two pieces we're going to cover are confidence and consistency. So let's talk about confidence in a little bit more detail. And this is the one factor across every high performance domain that I've worked in, you know, professional sport, business, finance, all of the different high performance domains. Confidence is the one thing that every single high performer wants to develop more of. So even the professional athletes that I was working with, you know, who are operating at the top level of the sport, all sought to build more confidence. And so it's really important to understand that confidence is like a muscle. It's not something that you're either born with or you are unlucky enough to be born without. This is something that's completely within your control and you can train for it. So it's natural to have dips in confidence. You know, it's natural that it kind of oscillates and that at some times in your trading, you'll be more confident and other times you might be a little less so. However, you can definitely control it so that it doesn't become a lack of confidence, doesn't become an issue that trips you up in your trading. So how do we actually go about building confidence? And we know now that we can actually work on it. We can train it like a muscle, the way we train our muscles in a gym. So what are the techniques that we can use in order to increase our confidence? The first one is very straightforward. So the research says, and this is not surprising, you probably don't need any degree to be able to come up with this answer, but results will increase your confidence. So of course, when you see good results, then you're going to have higher levels of confidence. And that makes sense. But how do you make sure that you get those results that actually increase your confidence? And there's two parts to this, but I'm going to talk about preparation now. Goal setting is also a way that you can, effective goal setting is a way that you can make sure that you start seeing results every day and that you don't have to wait to check your P&L at the end of the week or the end of the month to actually see how you're doing. But I'll speak about that in a second. So let's just talk about preparation. So basically, how well prepared you are will determine how confident you are when you're in the market. And that's not just necessarily about the technical aspects of your trading, although that's really important, obviously. And, you know, depending on how you trade or what you pay attention to, you might be doing some preparation before you go into the market from a technical perspective. And that's really helpful. So that in itself will increase your confidence. But there are actually mental training techniques that you can use to train your confidence like a muscle. And all of these techniques that I talk about from a high performance perspective or performance psychology perspective come from sports psychology originally. So all of the science and research that is done in the sports psychology domain then becomes used in these other high performance domains. And so a lot of the root techniques that we use and talk about in trading psychology actually come from sports psychology. And there's a ton of research to back up all of these techniques. So they are scientifically based. And the first one is self-talk. So actually coaching yourself out loud can be a really useful technique that can increase your confidence. And that might sound a little bit hippie or a little bit strange for me to be saying that. So let me explain how you would actually go about that in a very concrete and systematic way. So the best way to use self-talk to actually help you with your confidence is to write an affirmation script. And you may have heard of affirmations. These are positive statements that you say in the present tense, or you write them first in the present tense, in a positive, like so framed positively, and you write them so that you're programming a very specific outcome. And that outcome might be an actual action that you're taking in your trading. It could be a result in your trading. So let me give some concrete examples. An action in your trading might be, I wait like a tiger stalking its prey for my A+ setup to appear. An outcome in your trading. So you could write an affirmation script that says, I'm a consistently profitable trader, even if that's not currently true. So the idea is that you're programming your mind with these statements. You can also write them then for specific outcomes that relate to the mindset that you would like to have that would support you in executing your trading plan exactly as you want to. So for example, you might just write an affirmation about confidence itself. So you could say, I'm an extremely confident trader. I have unshakable belief in my trading ability. So these are all affirmations statements, and then you combine them into a script. So you actually record yourself reading these statements out loud, and then you listen to them as a script. So I'm just seeing in the chat there that the affirmation script link seems to be broken. So if that link is not working, you'll find that if you search Créde performance on YouTube, you'll see that there's an affirmation script there. So it's publicly available. It's up there already. And it's an affirmation script for traders. So if you search that, you should be able to find it. So basically that's affirmations, and that's a technique that you can use to program your mind so that you can actually create the mindset that you need in order to actually achieve the outcomes that you desire. The second technique that we're going to talk about, I'm just going to actually ask Tom if you're able to find that link on YouTube and post it in the chat. That would be super helpful, because I think people are having a bit of trouble finding it. So that would be great if you're able to do that. If not, no worries. The second technique that we're going to talk about is mental imagery or visualization. So you might have heard this called one or the other, but basically this is like running a video in your mind of exactly how you would like things to play out. And this sounds again like it's something that seems a bit airy-fairy, but there's been research going back to the 1940s in sports psychology and in mainstream psychology that show that using mental imagery is extremely powerful in enhancing performance. You can even use mental imagery for things like directly building your confidence, building your motivation, or actually achieving the outcomes that you want. And so again, people in sport use this, people in trading use this, and people in lots of other high performance domains do as well. So how would you actually go about that? Well, you want to run a script, run a video in your head of exactly how you would like to be operating in your perfect trading day. So for example, if you wanted to try and prime a flow trading day, so a day that you're in the flow state, it would be helpful to even write this down so you get crystal clear on what that would look like, and you describe it in vivid detail. So you would describe even the smell of the coffee cup or the coffee that you're drinking as you sit at your computer. You would describe how you felt super confident as you enter the market, how well prepared you are, how you're seeing the markets move and you're completely in tune with them. So you get the idea. You would describe the entire trading session in the present tense exactly as you would like it to play out. So it's like you're creating a story. And then when you've done that in a really strong level of detail, then you record yourself reading that script out loud, and then you play that. And as you play the audio, you listen and you form the images in your mind. So that's a very high level explanation of the technique. But the reason why it's so successful is because it actually fires the same neural pathways as if you were doing that in reality. So your brain doesn't actually differentiate between how you are thinking about this in your mind. So if you're watching the video in your mind, for example, or if you're actually doing the thing. And so the more that you rehearse this in your mind, so it's also called mental rehearsal, then the more you are programming that outcome to happen. So the next time that you're in the market, you're more likely to start your trading session feeling more confident. You're more likely to actually be decisive when you see your entry and you take it. So basically, you're training your mind to engage in the exact actions and to feel the exact same way as you would like to feel on an excellent trading day. So there are two techniques that you can use to increase your confidence. And I'm very happy to answer any questions about those because I've covered them in a very quick overview way. So of course, if you have more questions, we can cover that. And then lastly, becoming a more consistent trader. So we approach this from two different levels. There's the practical aspect And then there's a deep emotional aspect to this. So let's talk about the practical first. So to become a more consistent trader, you have to be very consistent with the habits that you engage in order to achieve peak performance. So you have to hold yourself accountable. And I mentioned goal setting earlier, and I'm not talking about setting P&L based goals. So when you set goals for how much profit you want to make, you heap the pressure on yourself, and that pressure actually often undermines your performance. So it causes you to engage in the self-sabotage and those actions that we talked about that don't help your trading. So you want to set goals that actually will put you in a position to increase your motivation and confidence, and that will allow you to see progress from a day-to-day basis. So these goals that you would set would be performance goals. So rather than setting a goal that says, I want to make X amount of profit each day, you would set a goal that says, I want to make, for example, 90% or more of all my trades taken fit my A+ setup criteria. So that would be an excellent performance goal for somebody who struggles with impatience and jumping into trades too quickly, or maybe over trading. So think of the challenges that you're facing in your trading that are holding you back, and then create performance goals that focus on the execution of your trading plan. And that will do two things. It's going to actually decrease the amount of pressure you're under, which frees you up to perform better. And it will also then allow you to keep yourself accountable and to see progress every day. So you're not waiting until your trading account increases to feel good about your trading. You can actually stay more focused on the process, and ultimately that will allow you to achieve your trading goals that much quicker. And the key to this is to actually track your metrics. So it's not enough to just set these goals in your head and then, tick them off in your mind. You actually want to track them day to day on a spreadsheet. And if you do that, it will bring a lot more consistency to your trading. And then lastly, this is a huge topic. We could talk about this for a month, but I'm just going to mention it in an overview way right now. But basically, self-awareness is the cornerstone of your entire mental edge. The more you understand how your own emotions, thoughts, and beliefs impact your actions in the market, the more that you hold the key to actually unlocking that. So if you feel currently like you're taking impulsive actions and you don't even know why, if you can start really mapping out that pathway of what are the beliefs that are behind this action. So let's say it's revenge trading. Ask yourself, what beliefs are contributing to me revenge trading? What thoughts are contributing to me revenge trading? How do I feel directly before I start engaging in revenge trading? What is the emotion that I'm feeling? Is it fear? Is it frustration? Is it anger? If you can get into a state of Jedi level self-awareness, that allows you to start fixing the issue. And the reason why you need to get this level of awareness is that your subconscious mind is usually the culprit if you're engaging in some impulsive deviating from your trading rules. And what happens is we hold these beliefs very deep in our subconscious mind that we can't access consciously. So we're not even aware that we hold them. And they can be playing out in our trading. So I'm going to use one example just to make this very concrete before we wrap up. And I'm going to use the example of somebody who believes that their self-worth is linked with achievement. So if you're a person that has that belief, and this is a really common belief, so maybe as we're sitting here, ask yourself, reflect on that. Is that something that I, holds within me? If you're somebody that believes that, even at a very deep level, that is not necessarily in your conscious mind, when you're in the market and you suffer a loss or you lose on a trade, suddenly it's about more than just the money, and it's pressing this button of self-worth. So when you lose a trade, not only are you saying, okay, that's that money down the drain, you're actually saying, I'm that little bit less of a person now. My self-worth has just taken a hammering from the market. And all of this happens at the level of the subconscious. So you're not going to be aware of this while you're actually trading. But when that does get triggered, it's like the market presses a bruise in your subconscious mind, and then your emotional reaction is very strong. So if that happens, that's what triggers these emotions that hijack your trading. So in that example, if your self-worth is tied to achievement, suddenly your self-worth has taken a blow. That could cause anger to rise up in you. And then that anger might cause you to revenge trade. So you can see this cycle of the market does something or something happens in your trading, your subconscious mind gets triggered due to beliefs that are already sitting there. And then that creates the emotion that causes you to deviate from your trading plan. So if you want to become a more consistent trader, I'm just going to sum this up, you can work on accountability, set effective goals, get really familiar with yourself and your subconscious mind, and try and map out that pathway of what's happening so that you can decode the root of your trading challenges. And then you can use tools like affirmations and like mental imagery in order to, dissolve these challenges. So that's all from me on the mental side of things. I'm just seeing some questions come in. So I guess we might jump to the questions section now. So I don't know, Tom, do you want to answer the technical ones first, and then we'll come to the mental ones, or how would you like to do it?
Yeah, I've been answering some of them in the chat. I know you've got one more slide, so I don't know if you want to put that up while we do the questions and answers too. And did you have the bonus?
I do not have the bonus in here, no.
Yeah, I can share it, reshare it, and put this back up.
Let me just mention it. So as part of your, our thank you for coming and joining us today, we want to give you a taste of a confidence visualization. So you can use visualization, mental imagery, to increase your confidence. So not just your the technical aspects of your trading, but you can use it to actually enhance your own confidence. And this will work whether you're a trader or not. This is for you, the person who shows up to the market. So this confidence visualization, all you have to do, and Tom's put the link in the chat there. So all you have to do is actually put your headphones in, listen to this, and just follow the guidance. So it's actually my voice talking you through it. And the idea is that if you do this even once a week, but I'd recommend a little bit more if confidence is something that you really strongly want to focus on, listen to it, say 1 to maybe 3 times a week. It only takes roughly about 10 minutes, and you want to go into a quiet room where you can give this your full attention. And as you listen, really try and immerse yourself in the imagery, in the emotions that it evokes, and you will see a big difference. And I know Tom has tried this out and saw some good results. So maybe you want to just speak on that, Tom.
Yes, sure. And if you can stop sharing, I'll pull up the slide so everyone can see it as well. Yeah, so there were a couple of questions about that. One was around the affirmation scripts. Someone asked, is it better in your own voice versus hearing someone else? Well, it's certainly helpful if you utilize Créde's, but I went through, and I should state that before I was a partner with Créde, I was a client. And so I've been through, all of her trading psychology coursework. And, when I was younger, I didn't really believe in this stuff. I thought it was a lot of fluff. But it just worked. It worked for me. It may not work for everyone, but I can speak from direct experience that, it helped me. I had always considered myself a good trader. It helped me become a better trader. I had always considered myself, I have a very high degree of confidence. And when I went through this confidence visualization that I'm about to pull up, let's see. Okay. And so we put the link in the chat. It was a surreal experience for me personally, because I'd never been through anything like this. I'd heard about meditation and guided visualizations, but I had really never tried it. It's kind of like when I was younger, I never ate vegetables, and now that's all I eat, So I've learned to never say never. I've kind of matured as a person in going through the trading psychology course. And this wasn't really planned as part of our presentation, but it's helped me not only as a trader, but as a person. It's helped me in relationships. It's helped me spiritually, but most importantly, it helped me for the reasons that I sought out to work with Créde, and it helped me as a trader. And so again, that's the whole premise of why I started ChartPros, is to help pay it forward. And when things that, I try to take the best of all worlds and share them with other traders. A lot of the offerings that we have, we provide for free. It kind of gives you a try before you buy, or a taste, if you will, to see if it's something that will fit your trading style. And for many it does, for some it doesn't, and that's okay. Because again, what I'm trying to do is work with people like Créde and traders just like yourself to help make you a better trader at the end of the day. And that's what it's about. So I think we're at a point, we can probably open it up for questions. Juanita, I'm not sure the best way to do that.
Yeah, typically people just go ahead and put their questions in the chat, and then you can go ahead and just answer them. We do have about 7 minutes left. So yeah, if you guys just want to go ahead and start taking those questions.
Stephen,
I'm just gonna, sorry, Tom, I'm just gonna elaborate on that. The affirmations in your own voice, they are more powerful when they're in your own voice because you're programming your own mind. So it's hard to actually argue with your own mind, even if you're somebody who currently, is impatient and jumps into trades too quickly and takes trades that don't fit your A+ setup. If you write an affirmation that says, I wait like a tiger stalking my prey for my A+ setup to appear, then it's hard for you to argue with your own voice saying that. So the point of affirmations is to program your mind. And so, yes, it is more powerful in your own voice, but it's useful to say, try this, the affirmation script and listen to them so that you get a sense of how to actually write the affirmations. It's really important, the language that you use, because think of it, you're actually programming your mind. So you want to make sure that every affirmation statement, meets the criteria for being a really effective affirmation. So by listening to example scripts like that, it will help you to understand exactly how to write a good affirmation. And I see that Stephen has written one in here, and it's a really good example. So you're saying your affirmation statement is, I trade with a prop firm, I pass the evaluation at will. And that is a perfect affirmation. That's a great affirmation statement. And then you're saying, though when I get funded, I won't say that bit, but but that's true. These do not have to be true. This is crucial. When you write an affirmation statement, it does not have to be true currently in order for it to be a good affirmation and to use it to program your mind. So if I wanted to be the best race car driver in the world, even, if I was just starting out, I would write an affirmation that says I'm the best race car driver in the world. And it doesn't have to currently be true. I'm just seeing, could you coach me? Well, yes, you can check out our website, Tom's website. There's lots of options there for that. Oh, sorry, Stephen's saying it's not my affirmation. This is for real.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that now. If somebody has the goal of trading with a prop firm, that would be a good affirmation. Okay, but I get what you're saying here. So Stephen, for you, that would be about probably pressure. If you see a difference, and this goes for everyone, if you see a difference in how you trade when you're, say, trading in sim or trading live, if you're a retail trader, maybe you're trading with a prop firm, and when the pressure gets dialed up, so when you get funded, then you find that you crumble. That's to do with how you are handling pressure, because pressure actually changes the way that you think. And there's a number of different ways that you can address that, but basically the root issue that you're talking about there is your resilience to pressure and how pressure is changing your actions. So the solution is to work on your capacity to deal with pressure and strategies to help you to become more resilient under it.
Yeah, and one thing I'll throw in there, Créde, when we were talking about programming the subconscious, in my undergraduate degree is in computer science related, and so for me it was the term that caught me was to reprogram my subconscious. And so I said, okay, so I need to know what language are we using? What's the syntax? How do I code this? How do I recode this? And probably just one simple analogy, I don't want to oversimplify it, but you may remember a commercial or a jingle or something from when you were younger that's no longer out there. But when you hear it, your mind kind of sings it, and it may even get stuck in your head for a while. That's because your subconscious has been programmed to finish that jingle or sing along with it, even if you haven't heard it in years. And so when I worked personally with Créde, we went through an exercise to kind of reprogram, my subconscious. And one of the things I learned is, 95% of our actions are controlled by our subconscious. Well, I was doing some actions within the market that were not aligned to my goals. And so at the end of the day, the process is much more important than the outcome, because if you can master your process, then you can increase your consistency and ultimately confidence. And so, this guided visualization for confidence is one example, but there's several types of other guided visualizations that Créde's course will take you through. And it's called, Go Deep to Level Up Your Trading. And you can learn all about that on the ChartPros website. And I put that link into the chat as well.
Thanks, Tom. I'm just going to answer this last question here from Alexis. So I think this probably applies to a lot of people, and again, we could talk about this for a month, but I'll give you an overview answer. So when you see yourself doing something in your trading that is not in your plan, How do you reroute yourself, break the pattern, and don't spiral down? The very first step to that is actually understanding what's at the root of that behavior. And for that, you're talking about going into your subconscious mind. So, and it might sound like that's the piece that you want to rush through, you know, understand the root of it and then work on the techniques to change it. But I can say that the hardest part of that process is usually actually getting to the root of what's happening. So the best thing that you can do, first of all, before you try and change anything, is get really crystal clear on exactly what's happening. So start tracking your metrics and try and track every single time that happens in your trading. And, you know, notice what emotion is it that you're feeling before you take that action that's deviating from your plan, and write it down. So you start becoming nearly a researcher and you collect all of the data around what are the triggers that happen before this action happens. So usually there's a kind of chain of events that lead up to you doing this. And the more you can get very consciously aware of that, then you can start understanding what might be behind that. So the first thing to do is understand what emotion you feel before you deviate from your plan, and then work backwards and ask yourself, well, if I'm feeling that emotion, what belief might be behind that emotion? What might I be believing that would create that? So for example, the example that I used earlier, if somebody believes that, you know, I have to achieve in order to feel good about myself, well, then naturally that would be at the back of feeling angry and frustrated when you take a loss on a trade. And then you would work on shifting that belief with affirmations. So that's a really high level discussion of that process. And it's something that is, you know, it can take a lot of work. And in the course, actually, there's an entire module based on helping you to get to the root of your subconscious blocks. It is the crux of trading successfully, being able to understand what sits in your subconscious and then be able to dissolve anything that's holding you back. So that's a very short answer to something that's quite a lot more detailed in reality, but I hope that helps. And then we just have another question there. The issue is to believe what you say. How do you stick to that? So the idea with affirmations is that you program it. So you just have to listen every day, and over time you actually start shifting your mindset. So you don't have to put as much conscious effort into forcing yourself to believe, because you're actually working on this at a subconscious level. And there are lots of different techniques as well that you can pair that with. So if you're doubting and you can't overcome even when you believe in affirmations, it might be about writing even more effective affirmations that target the root of the issue as opposed to a surface level of it. But also it could be, like we spoke about earlier, combined with techniques to help you deal better with pressure. It's quite a complex jigsaw puzzle. So even in the course, we talk through 7 steps, like a blueprint of 7 different steps that you can take to complete your mental edge, and each of those has a number of steps within it. So obviously this is a short talk and we can only cover so much, but really the things that we've spoken about will help you a certain amount. And if you want to really get to the level of creating your, you know, peak mental edge, then you can do this in a systematic way, and there's other resources there to help you to do that.
Yeah, and I'll add too, again, speaking from personal experience, when I was a student and a client of Créde, in looking at the curriculum in that course that I just posted the link for, the one that was of most interest to me, and I promised Créde I wouldn't jump ahead in the course, but it's called Decoding Your Mental Blocks. And that was kind of like the holy grail for me that I was looking for. And the whole reason that's what I was looking. I didn't know it was called that, but I told Créde, she didn't know this. I was looking for her for like 2 or 3 years before I found her. So to go from a client to a partner is fabulous in my opinion. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time and all the great questions.
Thank you so much, Créde and Tom and ChartPros, for taking the time to share with us today. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope to see you in future webinars. We'd like to remind you the information provided in this was that of ChartPros and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see everyone in future webinars. Happy trading from everyone here at the NinjaTrader ecosystem.